He was Hollywood's highest-paid actor, a sitcom king making nearly $2 million an episode. But within months, he lost it all. Arrests, drugs, prostitutes, meltdowns, and scandals so explosive, they make the Kardashians look tame. He harbored a secret so dark that he paid nearly $10 million in hush money to keep it hidden. This is the rise and fall of Charlie Sheen, the ultimate Hollywood cautionary tale, and a story wilder than any role he ever played. So let's dive in. Charlie Sheen was born on September 3, 1965, in New York City. He isn't the only actor in his family. His siblings Emilio Estevez, Ramon Estevez, and Renee Estevez all followed their father, Martin Sheen, into Hollywood. His father, Martin, had changed his name to Sheen in the 1950s under pressure to Americanize his image, a decision he later admitted he regretted. When his children stepped into the industry, he warned them not to make the same mistake. Emilio listened. He kept his real name, built an early career with cult classics like The Breakfast Club and The Mighty Ducks, and eventually stepped away from Hollywood's constant spotlight. Charlie, on the other hand, did the opposite. He dropped Estevez for Sheen, leaned into Hollywood's obsession with image, and embraced the excess that came with it. And at first, it worked. Charlie quickly climbed from being Martin Sheen's son to a star in his own right. He might have been called a Nepo baby in today's world, but by all records, he was no talentless Nepo baby. By the mid-1980s, he had roles in the movies Platoon and Wall Street. Critics praised his natural charisma, his ability to channel reckless ambition, and his uncanny knack for playing men teetering on the edge. Charlie wasn't just another Hollywood kid. He was the next big thing. As Emilio and other siblings quietly faded from the limelight, Charlie's rise knew no bounds. It also came with a price. The more his fame grew, the more he leaned into the very temptations Hollywood dangled in front of him. A pattern that would soon define and eventually destroy his life and reputation. Charlie Sheen's public image started to shift in the 1990s. Charlie Sheen wasn't just Hollywood's favorite bad boy on screen. He was living the role off-screen, too. His substance use, wild parties, and turbulent relationships were making bigger headlines than his acting. Enter Heidi Fleiss, the infamous Hollywood madam, who was raking in up to $100,000 a night running a high-end escort ring for the rich and powerful. When Fleiss was arrested in 1993 and her empire started crumbling, whispers began swirling about the identities of her celebrity clients. She teased the media, hinting she could drop names that would rock Hollywood to its core. In the end, only one name went public: Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen's connection to Heidi Fleiss didn't just end with whispers and rumors, it went all the way to the court. And what came out under oath was both embarrassing and jaw-dropping. In his taped testimony, a 29-year-old Sheen casually announced that he was engaged, a detail that made the so-called Hollywood madam crack a smile right there in the courtroom. Former call girls had already claimed that Sheen had a habit of proposing marriage after their encounters, but under oath, the actor couldn't remember the names of any of these women. The paper trail he left behind also caused him a lot of humiliation. Prosecutors slid stacks of canceled checks in front of him, and Sheen had to admit he was paying anywhere between $2,000 and $3,000 a night for his escapades. Charlie Sheen could only mutter, "Sheesh, it's starting to add up." This kind of scandal could easily sink careers, but instead of ending his career, the scandal only fed the growing legend of Charlie Sheen, Hollywood's ultimate wild card. Charlie Sheen's party boy reputation didn't come out of nowhere. In fact, chaos seemed to run in the family. His father, Martin Sheen, may now be remembered as a respected Hollywood veteran, but behind the scenes in his early years, he was battling his own demons. His alcohol consumption led to outbursts both in public and at home. Martin only gave up drinking after a near-fatal heart attack forced him to quit. Until then, his children grew up in the shadow of his unpredictable behavior. Charlie, the youngest in the family, seemed destined to follow a similar path. He started with weed at just 11 years old. By 15, he had his first experience with an older red-haired woman named Candy, a transaction that Martin himself discovered after spotting the charge on his credit card. It was a bizarre foreshadowing of the scandals that would later define Charlie's public image. At 16, Charlie and a friend were caught passed out in his car after smoking pot. They got off the hook thanks to his mother's connections with the judge. But a year later, he was back in trouble, this time for credit card fraud. Charlie and a group of friends went on a 4-day dumpster diving spree at the Beverly Hills Hotel to steal information and using it to buy TVs, watches, and jewelry. The stunt, combined with his terrible grades, finally got him expelled from high school. Yet somehow, Charlie still seemed to be on the fast track to stardom. He was talented at sports and even earned a baseball scholarship to the University of Kentucky. As he turned 19, he had his first child with his high school girlfriend Paula Prophet. But instead of slowing him down, it only seemed to fuel his drive. Small roles in films like Lucas and Ferris Bueller's Day Off introduced him to Hollywood audiences. Ironically, in Ferris Bueller, he played a strung-out bad boy, the kind of role that mirrored his real-life antics. The movie Platoon, followed by Wall Street, earned him critical acclaim, though behind the scenes, his drinking was spiraling so bad that he was often drunk during filming. On camera, Charlie was delivering lines as Bud Fox, the ambitious young stockbroker. Off camera, he was already living the role of Hollywood's reckless golden boy. By the early 2000s, Charlie Sheen's reputation as Hollywood's bad boy was already cemented. But in 2003, he landed the role that would make him a household name for an entirely new generation: Charlie Harper on 2.5 Men. The character was almost too perfect to fit. A charming, womanizing bachelor living in Malibu, spending his days drinking, gambling, and sleeping around. In other words, Charlie Sheen was essentially playing Charlie Sheen, but with millions of dollars and millions of viewers watching every week. And the gamble paid off. The show was a smash hit, eventually becoming one of the highest-rated sitcoms of the decade. Charlie was pulling in nearly $2 million per episode, making him the highest-paid TV actor at the time. For a while, it looked like Sheen had finally stabilized. The tabloids still had plenty of material: rehab stints, tumultuous marriages, public fights. But the sheer popularity of the show seemed to outweigh the chaos. But just as his paycheck ballooned, so did his partying. Reports of missed rehearsals, lateness, and erratic behavior started to pile up. Not only Charlie's career seemed like it was in jeopardy, his then love life was also completely off the rails, and nothing fed the tabloids more than his marriages. His first marriage came in 1995, right in the middle of the Heidi Fleiss scandal. He wed Donna Peel, a young model he'd met during a commercial shoot. The timing couldn't have been worse. Just weeks after their wedding, Charlie's name surfaced in Fleiss's little black book. Suddenly, the newlyweds were splashed across tabloids, and Donna was reduced to a footnote in Charlie's scandals. She filed for divorce within a year, and to this day, her name is more associated with Charlie's controversies than with her own career. Then came Denise Richards, the actress who would define one of Charlie's most infamous chapters. They met on the set of Good Advice in 2000, reconnected while she guest starred on Spin City, and by 2002, they were married. On paper, it looked like Hollywood's golden couple. Behind closed doors, it was anything but. Denise later described a volatile household fueled by Charlie's addictions. She accused him of threats, erratic behavior, and claimed she feared for her safety and that of their daughters. Their divorce in 2006 turned ugly in public, with bitter custody battles and a constant back and forth in the press. Denise framed Charlie as a man consumed by demons, charming at times, but dangerous when the chaos took over. By 2008, Charlie was walking down the aisle again, this time with Brooke Mueller, a real estate investor. By 2009, they welcomed twin boys Bob and Max. At the time, both Charlie and Brooke were struggling with substance abuse, and their relationship spiraled into public fights, arrests, and custody battles. Brooke later admitted to her own addiction issues, which meant the twins were often caught in the middle of two parents fighting demons bigger than each other. Because of their struggles, custody of the twins has shifted multiple times between Charlie, Brooke, and surprisingly, Denise Richards, who actually stepped in at one point to care for the boys. To this day, Brooke has battled relapse after relapse, and the twins' upbringing has been shaped by this storm of instability. The 2.5 Men era is the height of Charlie's career, but also where the cracks became impossible to ignore. By the time 2.5 Men entered its 8th season, Charlie's substance-fueled partying was legendary in Hollywood. TMZ reported week-long binges with adult film stars, six-figure hotel bills, and overdoses that nearly shut down production. In 2010, the infamous Plaza Hotel meltdown in New York was so wild it sounded more like a movie scene than real life. In the early hours of the morning, hotel security got a call from adult film actress Capri Anderson, who was just 22 years old at the time. She claimed Charlie had accused her of stealing his watch, and what followed was pure chaos. By the time police arrived, the hotel suite was trashed with thousands of dollars in damage. Charlie was found completely naked and incoherent, while Anderson had locked herself in the bathroom, terrified. Though Sheen brushed it off as overblown, Anderson claimed she was held against her will and later sought legal action. Sheen also publicly insulted 2.5 Men creator Chuck Lorre, calling him a clown and mocking him in bizarre rants. By this time, producers had already tried rehab and patience, but in 2011, CBS and Warner Brothers fired the man who had made them millions. It was one of the most shocking Hollywood firings of all time, because the star of the #1 sitcom in America had just self-destructed in front of the entire world. But instead of laying low, Charlie turned his firing into a global spectacle. He sat for wild interviews claiming he had tiger blood, flowing through his veins, and Adonis DNA. Overnight, winning became the internet's favorite meme. For a moment, Charlie wasn't just trending, he was the trend. He launched the Violent Torpedo of Truth tour, a chaotic mix of rants, catchphrases, and audience meltdowns that critics called unwatchable. Yet tickets sold out in minutes, because people wanted to see the meltdown live. At home, Charlie introduced the world to his live-in girlfriends, 2 adult film stars he proudly dubbed his goddesses. Paparazzi photos of the trio living together in his Beverly Hills mansion made headlines daily. And then there were the lawsuits. Charlie sued Warner Brothers and 2.5 Men creator Chuck Lorre for $100 million, all while trashing them in public, calling them clowns and rats. By 2015, the world had mostly written Charlie Sheen off as Hollywood's burnout king. His scandals had become predictable tabloid fodder until he dropped a bombshell that no one saw coming. On November 17, 2015, Charlie went on The Today Show and confirmed what had been whispered in Hollywood for years. He was HIV positive. He revealed he had been diagnosed in 2011, ironically during the height of his winning and Tiger Blood meltdown. But instead of being honest at the time, Charlie had chosen secrecy. For 4 years, he paid out millions in hush money to keep the truth hidden, claiming he was extorted by people who threatened to expose his medical condition. The backlash was immediate and brutal. Lawsuits surfaced from ex-partners who accused him of exposing them without disclosure. The media went wild with speculation, turning his diagnosis into late-night jokes and tabloid headlines. Charlie Sheen thought confessing to the world would free him from blackmail. Instead, it opened the floodgates. Even those who tested negative still dragged him into court, arguing that he put their lives at risk. He admitted to taking a cocktail of substances to manage the virus, and while he insisted his health was stable, his public image was shattered. The party boy persona that once made him bankable was now his curse. Even within his own circle, trust evaporated. Sheen admitted he had paid out nearly $10 million in hush money to keep people quiet, calling them traitors who exploited his vulnerability. But critics argued he had created the mess by living a lifestyle so out of control, secrecy was his only option. Hollywood, meanwhile, quietly shut its doors. Studios didn't want the liability, the PR disaster, or the controversy. The man who once commanded millions per episode was suddenly untouchable. After years of chaos, lawsuits, broken marriages, and public meltdowns, Charlie Sheen has largely disappeared from the Hollywood spotlight. These days, he's said to be focused on his health, staying sober, and rebuilding fractured relationships with his family, particularly his children. Charlie's turbulent personal life didn't just affect his wives, it rippled through his entire family. Martin Sheen has been open about his own son's battles. In multiple interviews, Martin has admitted that watching Charlie's meltdowns felt like watching someone dying slowly. He has also said he tried to do interventions, but admitted there's only so much you can do when someone doesn't want help. Despite everything, Martin has stood by Charlie, even calling his HIV announcement courageous. Charlie is one of the greatest exceptions in the industry. Even with all the negative press surrounding him, he has managed to retain a loyal fan base, and he is also in general known to have a good heart. He gave Lindsay Lohan $100,000 in November 2012, while filming Scary Movie 5 with her to help her with back taxes she owed to the IRS. He is part of Make-A-Wish Foundation, granting wishes to children with life-threatening illnesses, and much more. Chuck Lorre, who was the creator of 2.5 Men, was basically Charlie's biggest champion until everything unraveled. To this day, Charlie has admitted that losing that relationship and the show was his own fault. In recent interviews, he said he's embarrassed about his infamous rants calling Lorre a contaminated little maggot and mocking him in the press. Interestingly, Lorre and Charlie quietly reconciled in 2022 when Sheen was cast in Lorre's new show, How to Be a Bookie. This was a massive full-circle moment, signaling that while the industry may have written him off, Lorre at least was willing to give him another shot. The industry doesn't seem like has fully welcomed him back. Studios remain wary, audiences remain skeptical, and the stain of his past still lingers. Compared to his brother Emilio Estevez and other siblings, who chose a quieter, steadier life, Charlie's legacy is still overshadowed by the wreckage of his own making. So what do you think? Is Charlie Sheen on the path to redemption, or will he always be remembered as Hollywood's ultimate cautionary tale? Let us know in the comments below. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button to support the channel. See you next time!